Okay, there we go. Now I have audio. I always get stuck changing things around here. All right, so running a little late today. Sorry about that. I had a meeting that ran along, but now I'm here and trying to get back in the swing of things. So last week, let me know in the chat if you could hear me okay, see me okay on YouTube, um, on Twitch, wherever you might be. Hello, Stuart. Thanks for that. All right. I am trying some new stuff and it doesn't appear to be working the way I want, which is too bad, but well, that's okay. All right. And now I think I can see all the chats where they belong. All right, so last week we decided we were going to try some hybrid work. So what that's going to mean, we could try a few different things. We'll see where we end up with. An experiment always. That's how I roll. So let's switch over to my screen share, which is not screen sharing. What's going on here? All right. One moment, please. Nope. There we go. All right. That was weird. All right. So first gonna update all of my plugins. I think we're gonna stick with running the beta. We might have a new beta or a new release candidate to throw in here. Let's see what happens. We'll go back to updates. Yeah, we'll go up to RC4. So this should be the last release candidate before WordPress 6.2. So that'll be super exciting. Next week, I'm hoping to take us through some of the changes and what they might mean as a theme developer. So, all right. So what we're going to do today is try one or more ways to, I must have changed the theme. Let's go back to our other theme. Which one was it? The speed build theme, probably. Recreate this kind of layout a couple different ways. So where we have our posts in different formats as you go down the page, and then going into a pagination that shows just 12 posts, except it's not right now. Doesn't matter. It'll be fine. I might have changed the reading settings here. So we're still going to use this site. We are also going to, let's see. Oops. Sorry about the confusion. All right, we are going to see where we're at in the code here. File, open recent. I think this is what we're going to want. No, that is not what we're going to want. Let's try this. There we go. That looks better. All right. If the color scheme is not good, let me know. Sometimes light works better for some people. Sometimes dark works better. Right now, I think I've got this purple and green thing going on. So, all right. So let's go ahead and, first of all, let's commit all of this stuff so that we have last week's work preserved to GitHub. I'm going to try to start doing this before I close down a stream. so that from to, yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and create that pull request to merge these changes in. And now we will create a new branch of our GitHub repo. And I'm actually gonna use last week as the source because I kind of skipped over a week and I want to see if I can still get that back. And today is the 24th of March. All right, so now we have a fresh start here, starting from where we left off last week, theoretically. Okay, so what we worked on last week were a couple of files. One was, ooh, this is not going to be good for you all. I think I'm going to have to change colors here. Themes, color theme. Does that look better? All right, you can let me know if this is hard to read. It's still so much of this code that we're working with is comments, and comments in most VS Code themes are going to be kind of like pushed to the background. But that is the way that block code works. So we'll have to just do the best we can. Maybe if I get really ambitious one day, I'll create my own color scheme just for WordPress blocks. All right. So we have this front page and home template that we created last week. What I think I want to do this week is go back to our block themes rule theme, which is it's named inappropriately for what it is, because this is actually a classic theme. But the goal is going to be that we're going to create a hybrid template, which is going to be a PHP template that incorporates template parts. So there are a few things that we're going to need for this. One is going to be our parts directory. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, in my classic theme folder, I'm going to create a new folder called parts. Okay. And in this folder, what I can actually do is go to maybe one of my other themes that we've worked on, like the speed build theme. And I can take some of these parts and I can copy them into that parts directory. Okay, so assuming they don't have a theme, actually that won't even affect this. So these are just block markup. They should work in any theme that supports parts. Okay, so we're going to see how that looks once we do one more thing, which is going to be in our functions.php file. What we need to do is actually provide support to this new feature. So in this theme, what we have here is an add theme support that calls in a whole bunch of things. So what we're going to do, actually, we'll probably have to add our own new add theme support. So we need to go find what that theme support call is. Let's see, classic theme template part. We're going to say block template part. Okay. So this is the code that we're going to want here. So I'm just going to copy this straight out. And I'll go all the way to the bottom of my functions file. That way I know for sure it's not inside of another function because I want this to be on its own. And we're going to add a comment because that is a very good practice. And so based on the other comment that's here, I'm gonna format it in the same way that this had it. And what I want to do is say add support for block template parts. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So my preference from a coding standpoint, while it doesn't actually matter, if you do it this way, then you're reading it in order of things happening. So I just moved this add action to the bottom. So first of all, we have a new function. We're creating a function that's called add block template part support. This doesn't do anything on its own. We've just given it a name, and then we're going to tell it what to do. And so inside of that, we are going to call a WordPress function, which is add theme support. And then we're going to say, I want you to add theme support for block template parts. This is actually from WordPress. Yes. So there was a request to drop the link into chat. So I will do that. And then I will also do it on YouTube, because I guess my YouTube chat is not, it's not all working together. That's too bad. All right, I guess I have some more work to do on some of the new stuff that I set up. Okay, back to the code. All right, so block template parts is the name of the support, and we are saying we want to add that item to the things that this theme supports. And there are a bunch of others that are similar further up in the file. So if you see, like, we get to the very top here where, first of all, we have block themes rule set up. That is not about block themes. That is the name of the theme. So that was generated by the create block theme. I'm sorry. I'm getting all confused again. That function was created by the underscores theme generator based on the name that I gave the theme originally. So in retrospect, perhaps calling it block themes rule was not the best thing to do, but here we are. So inside of this function, we can see also that we have things like add theme support for automatic feed links. We have theme support for title tag. And a lot of these things might be legacy code. They might not strictly be necessary at this point, but any of these add theme support things we have done within this function that the create block theme or the underscores generator actually created, if that makes sense. So if I collapse this down, you can see after that whole thing, we have an add action that goes to after theme setup. That means at this hook that's defined by WordPress, and it's like the order that things are created in or spun up in, I want you to run this function, block themes rule setup. And that's very similar to what we did down here. We just created it as a brand new function, and then we added that action. We also could just take this add theme support and add it right into that supports function that was the setup function up here. So it will work either way. It doesn't really matter a lot. Since this is custom, I'm gonna keep it on its own. Okay. So in theory, now that I have done that, I have created the parts directory with some parts in it that are all just pulled from another theme. And I have added that code to the functions file. So now if I go in and reload this site, and then actually I will need to change the theme to block themes rule. And I got a error. Okay. Add theme support. What did I do wrong? Let's find out. Undefined function. Reading. That's strange. How does add theme support translate to a undefined function? All right, let's see if it's, what I'm doing now is I'm changing my add action to be commented out to test it without that code loading. Yeah, and now it's working. Okay. So, maybe what I should try next. Block template parts. I'm going to try moving it up to the other supports. I don't see why I would need to do this, but we're going to give it a try. Okay, let's see if we get an error again. Yes, we did. Okay. Do I have a typo? Okay. I'm going to go see if I can find another source for this code. I don't know what's going on. Starting in 6.1. I have no idea what changed. What? What was different? Did anybody see it? Hold on. I'm going to compare them right next to each other so that I can see the two versions. Where did I put it? Here it is. Okay. Block, template. They're exactly the same. Okay, well, it is very strange. All right, well, whatever was the problem, that seems to be resolved now. Okay. We have now under appearance, we still see all of the classic options. Template part, so themes, customize, menus, header, background widgets, and then the theme file editor. Those are all the classic appearance items. But now we also have this template parts item. So if we click into template parts, now we can access the screen to be able to edit these template parts. They're not being used anywhere yet. We have not included them into our content anywhere. But if we open them, then we can see that we have, we can work with what's inside of them. So in this case, we have a query loop that's just showing 3 recent posts, it looks like. Maybe, I'm not really sure why it's 3. Let's see. Query loop, block settings. It is inheriting from the template. So, yeah, I don't know why it's 3. Maybe it's something that was changed in the theme settings or in the reading settings. We could go look that. But in here we can see all of our template parts. Now they don't have nice, easy to read names right now. They're just the name of the file minus the .html because we did not register them in a theme.json file. That is how we give them a pretty name. At which point we could name them to be something like main sidebar or main header or main footer, and then it doesn't have to be the same as the file name. All right, so how do we get these into our content is the next question. So if I go into, let's try just going into a page. Let's see if this is an option. I'm not entirely sure. We cannot add a template part from there. And we cannot add, yeah, we cannot do it from here. So what we'll have to do is we can't add it from within WordPress. There might be one other way. We can't really add it within WordPress into the content. That's not really what template parts are made for. We would use reusable blocks instead if it was going to be part of the content of the site. Template parts are just that, they are part of a template. So that means that they really do belong inside of a template. So what we want to do is start to build out a new, let's say a new home page. So what we'll do is let's find our index. That's usually a good place to start. We're going to duplicate this. Copy and paste, and then I'll rename this to be home. Now, this right now is functionally identical to the index. So if I go back to the home page again now, theoretically, it's just going to show that same home page that would have been there anyway. So let's check our reading settings and make sure, yeah, we're showing latest posts here. We've got 12 posts, 12 posts showing on the blog page. So now if I wanted to say, instead of pulling in the content from the header that came with the theme, if I go into the header.php file here, I could actually maybe take this HTML markup here. This is probably not going to work great out of the box. But I could theoretically go down in here and grab the markup for the the code to include a template part, which is just going to be calling it in a PHP function. Now I have my PHP opening and closing more than is absolutely necessary, but for the sake of saving a little time, I'm just using that to copy and paste. And I can say, I want to use the block template part of header. And this slug here is the name of the file minus .html. And now, hopefully what will happen is when I reload this page now, what's up here should change a little bit. I don't know exactly how yet. It changed something. What is in my header? Let's see what we have. Let's see if we can get it to, let's see if we can get it to show us something different. Well, that's what should be showing up. It's just a list view row. So it must be something in the conditional. So maybe what we could do instead is get rid of more of what's here. I want to actually get rid of everything that's in the header tag. So we're going to take this all out. What we are going to leave is all of this opening HTML work here, because we're only bringing in the template part. I don't want to remove all of this other HTML that is part of this theme and kind of an integral part of what we need. We may not need this skip link either. That might take a little bit more messing around. So let's try adding in this template part for the header. I think this looks right now. So we'll save that. And now let's see if we get a header that looks more like what we're looking for. There we go. So now we just have the header with the no more navigation. It actually did work before. It was just hard to tell because the only thing that actually changed visibly was that the link changed from blue to black. So that was really the only change. So if I wanted to say I want to show something a little bit more obvious to show that it's really, really using that header, what I could do is maybe let's convert this to be maybe let's make it a cover block that gives me some, or I could just change the background. Let's try that. Ooh, that's very bright. We'll let it go. It's really noticeable this way. And if I reload it, then now I have my orange. So with white text. So that is the basics of including a template part into your classic theme. So then if you wanted to allow your client, for example, to be able to edit their own header or part of their own header, you could create it as a template part and even only give them access to the bits that they should be allowed to change. So, and you can also still do things like lock things, lock the blocks, so that it's there's a little bit of a barrier between your client and accidentally removing something important. So, any questions so far? Is there anything anyone would like to see? Throw out an idea for where to go from here? So what I was thinking, and you can tell me what you think of this in the chat, I was thinking what I would try to do is add a couple more template parts in and make some of them only appear conditionally. So let's say if it was only on the paged version of or only on the unpaged version of the site. So I will, for example, maybe what I could do is we'll create a new template part for homepage only, front page only, and then include the loop after that. So let's get that working, and then we'll see how we can make it so that it only shows on the very first page of the pagination. And maybe I'll also make this look a little bit easier to read while we're at it. All right, so back in we'll start with our content template. I don't know if I can make it easier to read. We'll see. Maybe I can. So if I want to make sure that this query loop is going to not be so wide, what I can do is maybe group this whole thing. And then in the query loop, do I have to do a double group? Might. We'll do a new group, a group within a group. It's still not giving me the option. It must be because it's a classic theme and it doesn't have support for layout. All right, I think I can fix that by adding one file to my theme. We're going to add a theme.json. And we're only going to add a little bit of information here. Oops. Okay, first schema. This is just a time saver. I don't remember the URL. On my main computer, I have it in easy place to find, but I don't have that here. So back up here, I will paste this in. Okay, so that basically says, hey, go out and see what all I can do in this file. And it is now an invalid file because it is looking for version. So, but once that's done, oh, and a comma. Comma separated key value pairs are necessary, but there cannot be a trailing slash. So when I didn't have the comma in there, VS Code over in the sidebar was telling me, hey, there's an error here. You should probably fix that. And I could see that the error was at this version line, but it was because of what was missing before that. And if I take this back out, then I get 2 errors. So this says I have 2 errors, and the 2 errors are, one, if I hover over the character that has a squiggly line, it'll tell me what it is. It's missing a property of version. And then this red squiggly line, it says it has a trailing comma. So if I want to fix that, I can go back here, version, and the errors go away. So that is one of the benefits of a schema. Without this schema line in here, it wouldn't know that those were errors. It would know about the JSON error with the comma, but it wouldn't have known about the version being a requirement. Okay, so now I want to add a setting, and I want to do layout. Oops. Typing is hard. Okay. And then I want to add a content size of like 800 pixels and a wide size of like 1200. Not PPX. That is not right. Okay. Let's see if that changes anything over here. Reload. The theme I'm using is not compatible with the site editor. Okay. I wasn't trying to be in the site editor. Haha, so when I added that theme JSON with just that little bit of information, now I have in my query loop, I can say that I want my inner blocks to use the content width. So any blocks that are inside of this block, post template, pagination, and no results, should be a reasonable width. So let's see what happens if now I can include this template part into my template. And I'm going to do that the same way I did for the header. As soon as I find the right files here. So just like I did here, I can go into my new home.php file, and everything that I want to replace, basically, I'm gonna get that out of here. I think for now I'm gonna leave this main wrapper because I think that that's kind of structural. And I'm going to include the content template part. Okay, let's see if anything changes on that home page now. So here's the home page the way that it was. And if I reload it, now we have the home page the way that it should be now. So we have just replaced the loop for this template so that it's no longer using the loop as a PHP version, but as a block version. It means that I can then go in and do all kinds of things that I never could have done before. without ever touching any more code for this part. For example, if I go into my post template, let's say, oh, I wanted to include a featured image. Okay, so let's make sure we have it where we actually want it to be here. We're going to drag it up so it's above the post title. Actually, let's put it below the post title. I think that will look better. Okay, so we see our post title and then an image, and then we have the excerpt. Is it an excerpt? Yeah, post excerpt and a post date. If I save this now, I can go back here and reload, and now we have our images showing. So what it does is it makes your theme significantly more flexible without completely giving up all of the control that you get with the PHP and the wrapping markup and all of those things that might be really important for your site. Or maybe you only want to add in one little piece that's going to be pulling from one of these template parts using the template part editor. This is such an easy way to do it. So let's see if we can go ahead and add in a new template, a new template part. And this time, maybe what we could do. Okay, so this is important. If you're using a classic theme, you do not have the option of creating a brand new template part from here. It does need to be created in the file and then accessed from here. Another thing to notice is that we have these ones that are showing as customized. That means we made a change to them. So while the theme has the file, the contents are being pulled in from the database. And you can clear them back to the defaults. So if I wanted to add that image back in to this template part into the file, then I would need to do that a different way. I don't think that create block theme is going to be helpful to us in this case. Okay, so let's say we want now to have another one of these template parts. And I want to say top content. Now, right now, that template part does not exist. So now that I've added it in here, before I go and reload my site, which probably will now have an error, I need to go and add that part. So let's go ahead and add in a new file to the parts directory, and I'm going to call it topcontent.html. Okay, right now there's nothing in it, and that's actually okay. What creating the file did for me was it lets WordPress know that I do want to have this template part. And if I reload this template part screen, it doesn't like going in there. Don't just reload, apparently. That seems like a bug. Appearance, template parts. Okay. I can go into, now I have top content. I can go in here and edit it. And let's say what I wanted to do was like a hero box of some sort. So maybe I would do a cover. And then let's go find a cool image. How about this one? Okay. I can maybe change the focal point. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe I want to change it so it's a little taller. And then so that you can actually see the text, I'm going to align it to the left. Okay. And now maybe I can make that bigger, and maybe I can make it a white text with Black background, is that what I want to do? Maybe not. All right, let's see what the block actually is. It's paragraph block. If I say the cover is going to be yeah, I probably wouldn't really want that. Maybe I could make it a gradient. I don't like that either. All right, we'll reset it back to the default. And then maybe instead of being aligned in the middle, can we change the alignment? Maybe not. Is that on the cover? Styles? Not really. Oh, center position. There we go. We can do that. All right, so there's my new template part. I'm going to save that. Now, the file itself is not going to change, but it should now show on the home page. So when I reload, now we have this full width cover block that's showing on the home page. However, if I go to the next page down here, it'll continue the loop the way it should, but I still see this cover block, and maybe I only want it to show on the first page. So that is where this is the one of the benefits of doing it this way, is that because it's in just a regular classic theme template, we should have full access to all of the template tags. I think that the function is this, is paged. So if I say, if it's paged, then I want to have this happen. So let's see if I'm right. See, these are conditional. Those are what are called conditional tags. So what I can do is say, if this conditional tag is true, then I want this to happen. What I'm actually going to say is, if this conditional tag is not true, then I want this to happen. So let's go ahead and see if we can create that. Okay. And I'm going to go back into the home template where this is. And this is all in PHP right now, so I'm going to add it to the PHP. And I want it to be is not is paged. And some white space there. The way that I actually prefer to see this sort of thing is to put it in quotes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I find this to be a little easier to read. I haven't done this kind of code for a while. So we're going to see if I remember anything. And I have an error. Okay. Unexpected semicolon. Why is there an unexpected semicolon, I wonder? Let's go back here. I'm looking for some examples of this actually fully happening. If is page. All right. Oh, I put in the word is instead of if. Okay, let's try that. No more error. Okay, so now it is paged, so it's showing it because I ended up removing the exclamation point, which is the not part of that. So let's see what happens if I go back to the home page. Hey, look, it disappears. So now it's showing on the inner pages, but not the first page. So if I add an exclamation point here, it can either be with or without the space. We're just saying if it's not is paged. So if this is page check is false, then I want this to happen. There we go. And I could probably make this a little safer if I also wanted to check to make sure that this was the front page as well, but it's in the home template, so I think this is actually okay. So this is not quite what we did before in terms of making a magazine style layout, but if you just wanted to have some stuff at the top of your page before pulling down into your regular post list, this would be a way to do that. All right, so I see a question over here in Twitch. Let me just see. All right, so I'm a web dev with a couple of years of React and C# experience. I wanted to start creating small landing pages, etc. with WordPress. Where can I learn the modern and recommended way of doing this? So what I would suggest is for landing pages in particular, what you want to learn is block themes. And the place I would go, well, besides this channel, because I talk all about block themes, would be learn.wordpress.org. And there are some courses here that talk about block themes. I think there are 3 of them now. 2 of them are no code, or one is like a low code type of a situation. And then there's also 2 that are geared towards developers. And if you've got experience with development, you might be just able to jump right into the developers guides. If you just want to get an idea for how the whole block theme thing works from within the WordPress interface, then the develop your first low code block theme would be a really good starting point. So if you did all 3 of them, then you could really be up to speed. So, and then the other thing is you mentioned React. So if you're interested in learning to build your own blocks, there's also a block development guide there. So when you, as far as, so the follow-up question was, whether you or not it's a good idea to be using existing themes or creating themes, or even what a theme is. Themes, there are themes and there are plugins. Those are the 2 ways to correctly extend WordPress. On the theme side, it's all about the presentation on the front end. You shouldn't be putting functionality into your themes. It is possible to put functionality into your themes, but it's not a best practice. So when you think about a theme, let's go ahead and check out the structure of a site. Okay, so I'm in VS Code now. I'm only seeing a little bit of the code base here. there are some other directories that you don't see. This is just the WP content, and WP content is a directory where anything that's not part of the core of WordPress will land. So it will have things like your media, that's in uploads. It will have like a temporary place to house files that would be used during the upgrade processes, whether that be themes, plugins, or core. And then we have these two directories for plugins and themes. And within these, you're going to have anything custom for your site. So plugins are going to be about functionality. They're going to be somehow it's changing the way that WordPress works on its that it's going to allow it to do something that it doesn't do on its own. So the ones that I have in here, Akismet is bundled with WordPress, and that's a spam prevention tool. You can use it or not use it at your discretion. It doesn't activate automatically, it just gets installed. Create block theme is a really easy way to create a block theme, just like it says. I would say that that's a really good starting point. But it is a plugin and not a theme. It is a plugin that allows you to create a theme. And then I have FakerPress, which is a tool to generate dummy content, because I'm mostly only ever working with test sites, and I don't want to have to create all those images and posts and content. So I use a plugin for that. And then I have Gutenberg, which is the latest version of the block editor for WordPress. It's the default editor, but more bleeding edge. And sometimes I work with that in these streams. And then the beta tester, we're at a point in our release cycle where we're right on the edge before the next version is released. It'll be out in just like 3 or 4 days. So the beta tester lets us kind of get an early look at what's coming there. All right. I hope that answers your question. As far as plugins, and then themes are where all of the code for your design live. It's the content that's going to show out in the front end. It's the styling. It's the JavaScript potentially if you're going to be doing anything that's not part of the core of WordPress as far as the front end of the site goes. And you'll see that there are 2 different types of themes. Largely split between a classic theme, which is what this block themes rule theme is, and a block theme, which is the newer way to create themes, which is much easier to learn and is done largely within the WordPress admin area rather than in your code editor. So it depends a lot on where your comfort zone is. All right. All right. So I think that's all we've got for right now. How do y'all feel? Was this useful? I have some ideas for potentially extending this a little bit further and maybe trying to get that loop that we worked with last week in as a single template, so that you get the large image version and then 2 and then 9 at the bottom, and then it goes into 12 for the second pages. But what happens when you use a custom query is that it can be a little weird with pagination. So if I offset my queries, then I have to also do some weird math with pagination, and that is why it's always a little tricky to do this. So I may have to do some brainstorming and see if I can come up with a good way. So yeah, feel pretty good about this. So next week I'm going to go through WordPress 6.2, try to demonstrate the before and afters of a whole bunch of interface changes, maybe dig into a couple of new things that are coming to Theme JSON for us, and maybe review the developer field guide, which is going to contain everything that the core contributors felt was important for developers to know. So as a developer, I want to keep up on those things, and if I can help you all to do the same, then I will. So there might, I don't know how much there is yet. I know that there's some stuff that was added to theme.json. I don't know yet. I haven't even looked at the field guide. It's been out for a little while. It's usually out along with the first or second RC. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining me. As always, I hope that this was helpful. Feel free to subscribe or follow depending on where you're watching, and the recording will be on YouTube permanently, and for Twitch it'll be there for like a week. So thanks everyone. I hope you all have a fabulous day.